All right. What's up, y'all? Hope y'all have a blessed day. Well, are having a blessed day. Have had, are having, will continue to have a blessed day. Thanks for tuning in again. Today we're going to talk about a nitty-gritty topic. I don't know how else to say that, but yeah, we're going to talk about, I'm trying to pick which one because there's three things that are a little heftier that I want to talk on. Okay, let's start with this one. Actually, before I start, I gotta lay a framework and a foundation. So, hypothesis, an observation. We have forgotten what human beings are. We have forgotten what it means to be human, and whether accidentally or willfully, we have chosen who gets to be human. None of those things are good for us. Any of us. So, I think before I can even get into the nitty-gritty or any other topic I want to talk on, I have to revisit this idea that humanity is what we all have to start from. That's the one thing that we share indiscriminately. Some of these words are eating me up. Before I can talk about class, race, ethnicity, language group, economics, we have to go back to the foundation that you and I and everyone around us are human beings. Regardless if we want them to be, regardless if we acknowledge it, they are. Where am I getting this from? Well, in the Bible, at the very beginning, when God decided to create, and he created that and that, the sun is over there, there's a rainbow right there, and created this. I'm pointing to all the nature around me. He created us too. He created us and all these things. And what he said about humanity is, let us make mankind in our image. In the image of God, he created us. Male and female, he created us. He created us in his image and his likeness. That is humanity. A human being is a creature of the earth and bone. That might be a book title, but formed from the clay of the ground, from the bone from that first man, and breathed into by God, the breath of life. Very humble, very close to God. We are God-breathed dirt made into humanity. And being given almost like a stamp, I don't know, the image of God and the likeness of God. What does that mean? As much like God, we dignify, we respect God, we should respect human beings. We see each other as worthy of life because life was given to us by God. We don't have the right to extinguish or to remove what God gave, Even humanly speaking, if I give someone a gift and someone else takes it saying they don't deserve it, they're the thief, not the original gift giver. They're not part of this portion, If I look at somebody and say, you don't have the right to live, or you don't have a right to dignity, respect, honor, whatever it is, just because I say it doesn't make it true. What God has said makes it true. What he has designed human beings to be, that is what we are. And that is what everybody is, even the ones that we don't like. That is an undeniable, inarguable, and I'm making that word up, unarguable. We cannot argue about that point. That's a fact. More than fact, that is reality. Yeah, we're made in the image of God, in his likeness. We've got a spirit, we've got a soul, we got a body. We think, we reason, we feel, we desire, we exist. That is where it all begins. We reflect God to creation. When God sees us, he sees our image, or his image in us. I don't want my image desecrated. I shouldn't desecrate the image of God. I don't disrespect, humanly speaking, the closest thing we have to our images, naturally speaking, is our children. Hey, you're the spitting image of your daddy, of your mama, You look like him. You're your daddy's son. How you treat the child directly correlates to how you treat the parent. That is why in the word it says, you cannot claim to love God and hate a brother or sister, a fellow human being. It proves your love for God is false. In the image and likeness, male and female, he created us. So every time I approach any topic or any person and I skip over that human fact, anytime I said in a different episode or a different video, anytime I use secondary or tertiary ways to identify others and myself, I'm missing something, the root of everything that gives my life and all of these lives meaning. I'm missing the human portion, the God-given human portion. God is the source. He originated us. When we look at anything that has to do with us, we're going to see God in it for sure, but we can't forget to see humanity in it. If adjectives take the place of the noun, we are in trouble. Okay? That's just the first thing. So, I encourage us to practice that, because everything is practical. Everything is a practice thing. I practice breathing, I practice blinking, and well, subconsciously, but I can blink slow because I've practiced that or learned how to do it. Practice walking, practice running, practice loving human beings. God is love. He made human beings. So we are love made to love and to be loved. Love not just merely as affections and all that stuff, but love that acknowledges truth and kindness, as it's described in the word. It's not out here envying or boasting. It's not proud or rude. It's not selfish. It doesn't rejoice with evil, but celebrates the truth. And truth always brings freedom, so, love that. Always trusts, always hopes, always protects, always loves. Love always loves. It does not give up. It's an incredible, he is an incredible thing, person, being. Love is. Whew, it gets deep really quick. But fundamentally speaking, you've got to start with the human issue. If you acknowledge God, beautiful, I'd love to hear that. If you don't, at least, which, I want everybody to know God, but not everybody does. At least acknowledge the human in the room. I like that, because, we ignore the elephant in the room. The what? Anyway, acknowledge the human in the room. When I'm debating with someone, acknowledge the human being. You have dignity as I have dignity. I was born, you were born. I live, you live. I breathe, you breathe. I think, I feel, I want, I fear. You think you want to, you live, you fear, you experience life as I experience life in your own way, but fundamentally we are the same. We have to conquer this us versus them in order to enact any sort of compassion for one another. And how much more for us believers who are expected to show that compassionate love to those who are our enemies, those who are harsh and rude and not kind to us. We are to love them because that reveals that we are children of God. Not just creations of God, but children of God. I mentioned earlier that the closest thing we have humanly speaking to our image, naturally speaking, is children. You know? The hope is that we don't just remain images. Because yeah, if I have an image of myself, manufactured speaking, I take a picture. We draw a picture. Back in the day, etch it into stone, you know what I'm saying? Whatever they did to make faces. Look at the Egyptian relief sculptures and all that. Assyrian sculptures. People made images of themselves. You know, they could see who that is. But that's not as life-givingly wonderful and intimate and just all types of to compare an image to a child, there's just a lot more there. So the hope is that human beings don't stay images, but they become children of God. Now everybody wants that. Everybody has a choice for it. But yeah, that's just a little gospel in there, that Jesus invites us to be children of God if we accept him. So yeah. But regardless of where we're starting from, believe it or not, we have to acknowledge the human in the room. Before we talk about race, economics, culture, geography, gender, societal structures, political stances, religious practices, denominational differences, heights, weights, abilities, developments, pre and post-born, all of these we have to start fundamentally at. We are dealing with human beings like me. Whoever you are dealing with a human being like me. Not like me, like you, like, you know what I'm saying? If you were to say this with me type thing, you're the me in there. When you see someone else, see yourself. You are both human. And then from there, because we acknowledge the humanity, we acknowledge God in this, we can deal with these issues with a lot more compassion and grace. So that has to be foundational. That has to be foundational. And I'm gonna just say it. God is if God is what we're building on, Christ is that foundation, and this is what Christ teaches. That we love one another as we love ourselves and as he has loved us. So I'm gonna be coming from that truth. You know, everybody's got their opinions and perspectives, but I'm coming from the truth. Here's what it is. Let's love humanity in a way that seeks its good, not just for this life, but for the next one, for all eternity. Okay? So I'm gonna get into these other topics in another video, but yeah, just start with acknowledging the human in the room. That's gonna be my new phrase. I like that. So Gopher. What's up, Gopher? Anyway, I'll see y'all later. The sun is going down, and that means I'm taking my behind into the house. So you all have a blessed rest of the day. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You know the drill. Ask me questions, give me feedback. Let's keep it loving and respectful, as we just talked about. Acknowledge the human on both sides of the screens. There you go. Yeah, and let's continue to build. I want to get into these topics. So let's do this. Anyway, love you all. Grace and peace. See you later.